What's up guys, Matt Collins-Jones, MCJ, back with another video about Power Platform pipelines. Today we're going to be talking about settings and we're going to look at some administration features as well. So in previous videos we've shown setting up pipelines, we've shown giving people access to pipelines, we've shown running of the pipeline. But let's talk a little bit about the administration side of pipelines. So you're an administrator for your organization, you're in charge of the Power Platform, you're in charge of the governance, or you're a smaller organization where you're just the IT person that looks after these things. How do you administer the security? How do you administer pipelines? How do you monitor and maintain all these settings? What do the settings mean? That's what we're going to learn in this video. So let's jump into it. Firstly, I'm going to go through some settings and then I'll show you some administration stuff as we go through. Now, if you watched one of the, I think it was like the first video that we did on pipelines, there are a couple of settings that we can find inside the deployment pipeline configuration application. So if you go to that and go to advanced settings, we see there are these two settings. So cross-geo solution deployments and also import from pipelines. There isn't a setting here, it just tells you how to go and find your pipeline host if you're using personal pipelines. I'll cover that in a separate video about what are personal pipelines, because they can be a little confusing when you start talking about these things. So there's no setting here, but there's two settings here. Now, recently Microsoft moved these to a different place, and I'm going to show you where those are. So we go to the Power Platform Admin Center. There's a little button on the left, little navigation icon called Deployments down here, and this takes you to the Deployment Hub in the Power Platform Admin Center, where you can see a bunch of information. We'll look at the settings first, and then we'll come back to what this is. So if you choose that, there's another menu here that says Settings, so we'll click on that one. In here, there's a few things that we should take a look at. One is this drop down, so it tells you the custom host. So custom hosts are where you install the application. A platform host is for your personal Power Platform pipelines. Again, gotta cover that in a separate video. Keep an eye out for that. Make sure you hit that bell so that you are notified when that video goes up, and make sure you subscribe. Wink. So we have a list of our custom pipeline hosts. So I've got two. I've got my custom pipeline host and then the one that we've been using for these videos for testing to show you how everything works. So if we click on that one, it's going to load the settings from that host. So we can see that one setting is on and one setting is off. So solution deployment across regions. This is one of the first things we needed, because one of the environments I was actually going to deploy from and to was actually in a different region altogether. So one of those environments was in the US. I was using a preview region, a preview environment in a US region, whereas a lot of my other environments in the UK region. So this setting allows you to actually move solutions across geo. Now, across geo is very specific. You can move them from say UK to US, or UK to Europe, or Europe to US, etc., etc. It is not cross tenant, it is cross geo. So all of your pipelines and all of your environments still must maintain access, but must be maintained inside the tenant that you are working in. So inside your M365 tenant, whatever environments you have in there, even if they're in different regions, you can still deploy using this setting. You cannot deploy them inside of different tenants. You need something like Azure DevOps or the Pack CLI for stuff like that. But this setting allows you to migrate or push solutions across different geographical regions. The next one's another really useful one. Allow makers to import shared solutions from deployments. So this is turned off at the moment. If I turn this on, what this will do is this will allow makers to, if they need to redeploy a solution somewhere, they can redeploy a solution from the import wizard. So previously with manual ALM, we would go to the maker portal, we choose import solution, and then we'd upload our solution that we've downloaded. With this setting turned on, any solution files that are inside of this custom host that the user that wants to import it has access to, they can select to import the solutions. Now this actually has two benefits, or two main points. One, you can import the managed solution, so you can do basically a manual import of a existing solution file. So again, if you don't have something that's set up in your pipeline and you need to go configure a new environment to do some testing quickly and you want to deploy that latest solution, you can do that quick and easily without having to create a new pipeline, which is fantastic. The other option you actually have is you can import unmanaged solutions. Now, this helps you in case you ever have any situations where your development environment has gotten lost or deleted or corrupt or reset or something. What that does is that you can create a new environment and then you can select the unmanaged solutions to go into that environment, meaning that you can rehydrate that development environment and basically create essentially a copy of your development environment with those unmanaged solutions that were captured at the time of export for your managed solutions. Again, this is so important, and why ALM and pipeline should be a day one thing for all new projects and all new environments. If you train your users to deploy with pipelines, if they deploy everything through pipelines, it means you always have access to your source control, you always have access to your solutions. So using this feature allows you to rebuild dev environments that may have gotten lost. I cannot tell you how many times customers have told me that they've deleted their development environment. They've copied a version of production over it for some unknown reason, and then they go, "Oh, can we start up a new dev?" I'm like, "Sure. Where are your unmanaged solutions?" And they go, "Don't know." I say, "Okay, where are your managed solutions?" And they go, "Still don't know. We never kept them anywhere." This is why this is so important. So please, pipelines, day one, new projects. So yeah, turn this on allows you to import it through the import wizard, which is really handy. There is one more setting I'm going to show you before we take a little tour of the admin portal here. So what we'll do is we'll go over to manage and we'll choose environment groups. And if you don't know what an environment group is, an environment group is a way to administer on bulk a set of environments. So you could have all of your environments regarding like sales in one group and like customer service in another, or break it down by like UK environments and US environments and Europe environments and other things. However you want to configure your environment groups, you can like segment them that way, and then you can administer rules on top of them, but you can administer them in bulk. This is fantastic for large organizations with hundreds of environments that it would take too long to go in and configure them all manually, and you don't want people to go in and like reconfigure them. You want to configure them on bulk. So we'll go to our MCJ testing environment here. We'll go over to rules and we can see all the rules that we can apply. So there are 24 rules you can apply to your environments. This isn't a video about environment groups, but they are really useful. There is a setting here called default deployment pipeline. Now, what this means is that if someone wants to create a pipeline, so if you go to your environment, so a new environment is created, if it's in this environment group and you have this setting configured, it's great. If you don't have this setting configured and they're not in a group, when they go to create a new pipeline, they'll create that in the personal Power Platform pipelines, which has a bunch of restrictions and a bunch of limitations. It's great for certain organizations, but other organizations may want the full custom host capabilities. So what this setting does is it says, hey, as soon as an environment's in here and the user goes to pipelines, what we'll do is we'll not only direct them to a pipeline host environment, so I can choose we want to do it to the Black Collins Jones one or the custom pipeline one. If I choose this one, we can actually tell them, hey, this is a default pipeline that you can use. So if they want to use that pipeline, they can. If they want to create their own pipeline and they have access to, again, they can do that, and it'll go into the relevant pipeline host environment. If they don't have these settings configured and the environment's not associated with a host, it's going to create it in the personal Power Platform pipelines. This gets really confusing, but this setting is a great way to administer a default pipeline. So if you have a bunch of developer environments, so say your citizen developers are all building their own developer environments, you can set up a pipeline to send them to like a shared citizen developer like production environment or a shared citizen developer test environment. You can configure that using this setting and using the default pipeline here. So it's a really handy way to administer Power Platform pipelines en masse. Great, so we'll close this down and we'll go take a look at the deployment app, or the deployment admin center. So inside here, we get a bunch of information about the different pipelines. So I'm on the overview page here. I can see the custom host up here, so we can choose which host we want. My one, or this testing one that we're using, or the platform one. We can see if there's any pending approvals. It's currently loading at the moment. I think the network's having a bit of an issue today. And we can also see failed deployments. And this is the clickable tile, like a Power BI S tile. And we can see, right, okay, there have been 4 failed deployments today. We have a drop down up here, last 30 days, last 7 days, last 365 days, all really great to be able to filter down the information that you're seeing. And we can see some information about these these failures. So we click it and it pops out a little side pane, and we can see some information in here and go to more details, and we see generic error occur. That's great. Supporting information if we need to send it to support, which is always really handy. So this is a great way to see things. There is a button here which is really handy as well, new custom pipeline host or new custom host. If I click it, it starts going through the wizard to create me a new environment. And as you'll notice, it defaults the type to production, which is what I really recommend, that all pipeline hosts should be production environments. So it's fantastic. So this is I think this is a new addition. I'm not sure I've seen this before, but it's really cool. We also have the ability to go over to pipelines, and in here we can see some information about the pipelines that people have access to, or the pipelines that are available in those environments. So we can see that in this environment there's a single pipeline. We can see when it was created, when it was modified, and who it was by, and we can also see a run history for that environment as well. So these are all the solutions that I've run through. If I change over to my other pipeline for a second, my other host for a second, and maybe extend this to the last 365 days, we can see loads more entries in here for all different pipelines that have run, not run, everything else. I did delete a pipeline recently, so that's why there's a missing lookup here, but it doesn't delete the run history. So yeah, loads of different ways to do things, but this is a great tool for admins to be able to administer the platform and understand what people are doing, when they're deploying, how they're deploying, what solutions are going where. This is a really fantastic tool. There is a tool for makers as well, and I can show you that very quickly. If I go over back to our maker portal, there is this deployments tile up here on the left. So I'm in solutions, I go to deployment, choose this, and in here you can see it's very similar to what we just looked at in the admin portal. So we can see the current deployment status snapshot, so we can see pipelines at here, and if there was a pipeline deploying right now, we would actually see that in this tile here. So again, if you're in a shared development team and you don't know if someone's deploying and you need to do a deployment, instead of having to go around your team and ask on Teams or ask on Slack or whatever, or go to the pipeline host, you can actually see your in progress deployments here, and you can see whether you should not do your deployment because there's another deployment going on. So really useful feature. And again, we can see the history of solutions that have gone through for this environment. So we can see some succeeded, some failed, and then down here, this is new. I've not seen this before. Take action to improve your health. So there's a new Power Platform alerting mechanism to improve app health. I think this is where you would see there are recommendations in here. It says there aren't any recommendations here at the moment, but it's good that we get all this in one place. So as you do those deployments, you can check to see whether things are turning on, things are running slowly, etc. That's part of the Power Platform alerts, I believe. I think those would appear in here, but this is new to me. So we're all learning something today. It's like Sesame Street. Straight. So you can see stuff in here. So this is for the makers, the Power Platform admin centers for the admins to see what they're doing. I hope this was useful. I've showed you some of the settings that are available to admins. I've shown you some of the admin centers and what they all mean and reporting, and I've also shown you how the makers can also have a look at some other things as well. You can absolutely go and look at things that are going on in the deployment pipeline configuration app. If this is just another place to surface that information, another way to see things. So all really good, and you can those settings now being from the specifically from those hosts into the admin center is a great thing, especially for admins, so they can go administer again on bulk in one place rather than going to each host individually and then changing things. So what do you guys think? Did you know about the new settings in the admin portal? Let me know in the comments down below. Type admin for life if that's how you administer things. I really appreciate everyone who comes to watch these videos. It's usually me just being a bit silly trying to teach you things about things that I like. So if you did enjoy this video, if you'd like it and share it with your friend and maybe subscribe, that would really help me grow the channel. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.